welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, a host for the broadcast and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive interview series and my personal favorite, Wonder Woman in Tech. It is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. It gives me an immense pleasure in introducing our Wonder Woman in Tech, Ms. Annapurna Vishwanathan. She's the Chief Information Officer for Cummins India. Prior to joining Cummins, Annapurna had rich experience of across companies such as Coca-Cola, GE, and most recently, she was the head of digital at Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Limited, where she was responsible for defining and driving digital strategy for companies across manufacturing, logistics, commercial, sales functions. During her stint at GE, she worked with multiple technology domains, including product development, ERP applications, M&A, IT infrastructure, and security. Annapurna has also been recognized as one of the leading women in AI by IBM for the year 2021 and was only honorary from India. In addition to her core responsibility, she has led multiple women networks throughout her career, and she's also extremely passionate about mentoring diverse and young talent across the country. Annapurna is married to Marut Setia, who is the Senior Vice President at Indich Private Limited, and they have a son named Kabir. Originally from Mumbai, Annapurna is also based in, she's based in Bangalore for the past 9 years. She loves traveling and visiting new places across the world. Annapurna, it's an absolute pleasure to have you, and I'm so excited to learn from your journey and to kind of learn, how you reached at this level where you are and how you're kind of managing your work and personal life. So great to have you.
Thank you so much, Khushbu. It's my pleasure, and I look forward to our conversation.
Awesome. So, Annapurna, my first question is, if you could share a little bit about, what is that you do? What does your typical day looks like?
Sure. So, I've been in this role, Khushbu, since March of last year, March of 2021, as the CIO for Cummins India. Now, as a part of this role, I have two major responsibilities. The first one is to provide, technology leadership and deliver to that business outcome, right? Leverage technology to deliver to India's business outcomes for Cummins. The second one is that India locationally is an amazing technology talent hub. And so, my second part of the role is how do I enable, the technology team in India to deliver to some of the larger global outcomes. So setting that up, building that up, and giving that momentum, is also a significant part of my role. So now when I usually think about my typical day, right, I'm usually doing one of three things. The first is I'm engaging with my team, and talking through what's that transformation we can do, for the businesses in India, right? So that we're really changing the way, we work. And that could be big and small, right? The big technology changes are typically those big pillar systems that, change the way we work, that give us competitive advantages, that help us, just work differently in a certain area, be it, warehouses and, logistics, or be it the way we work on the sales and service side, right? It's just changing the way we work and changing the way we think. The second one is, of course, the smaller tech innovations, right? These are small, simple technology interventions that can really ease the life of our, of our employees and of our people. So that's one thing I spend a lot of time on. The second thing is that I spend a lot of time talking to my team directly, right? So my direct team, the teams below them, because, I'm in a unique situation. I'm based in Bangalore and I work for a company that's predominantly in Pune. So I'm really thankful for the flexibility and that openness, right? That openness of mindset. And COVID's taught us a lot. COVID has taught us that it's perfectly okay to work from anywhere. And so I spend a lot of time in talking to, the different levels within my team to make sure that to the best extent, I'm able to recreate that philosophy of open door policy, right? So the online version of an open door policy. In addition to this, of course, I spend a lot of time with the India leadership team, as well as the global technology leadership team, making sure that, what we are delivering as a team is perfectly in sync with the hopes and the aspirations of, the company in India, as well as it aligns with the technology strategy and vision globally. So that's pretty much, how my day is.
Wonderful. Great. My next question is, did you always know that you wanted to work in the technology space? And if it was not technology, what else it would have been?
What attracted me to a career in corporate life, honestly, is solving problems. So I get very charged up. I'm a high energy kind of a person. So I get very charged up when there's a big problem to solve, and I get very excited about things like that. So incidentally, I started my career in technology. And for the first 5 years, I was in roles where every 4 to 6 months, I would be in a different country, in a different, technology setup, right? And we would be solving a business problem using technology. So over time, gradually, right, my belief that technology can truly be a part of how you work in a business and how you solve a business problem, it really took some very solid roots, right? And as a part of my growth, right, I realized that the capability that technology brings to a business is amazing, right? Because when you think about it, you can bring in transparency, right? Transparency of information. You can bring in mobility. You don't have to go to a computer. You can actually work anywhere. You can bring in controllership. You can bring strong controls and processes. You can bring in accuracy, right? You don't have to get it wrong. It can be simple, right? And of course, automation and the power is endless, right? So over time, belief is something that's really solidified. And today, from that journey, I find myself as someone who's a very, very strong advocate of the fact that let technology solve your problems, right? Because it's an amazing way to actually work, because it's a very simplified way of working, and bringing that discipline in the way we work, right? And also, I'm a very vocal proponent of the change management, right? Open your minds to the change, because only if you let it in can technology do its job, right? So that's sort of how I found my roots in technology.
Yeah, and also that technology brings in so much of innovation. I think it's continuously there's so much of innovation happening. So yeah, I mean, it's really exciting even for me. Great. Okay, my next question is, it's not a secret that we don't see many women in tech industry, and felt that gender has affected the way they were perceived or treated. Have you ever been in a situation like that? If yes, how did you kind of handle it?
Early in my career, right, I was in a lot of positions where I had to handle, teams that were largely men and teams that were significantly more experienced than me. And as I've seen it repeat over and over and over again that, when I'd walk into the assignment for the first day, right, I would find that, there is that unconscious, there's that subtle doubt that exists within the teams that, is she even qualified to, to lead us or to give us that direction? And time and again, I've I've been able to win them over, and over a period of time, I actually realized that, that initial doubt which exists when I walk into a new role, right? It stopped phasing me, because time and again, and when I look back, right, I think the one thing that worked for me, and this is more retrospective, it wasn't something I was thinking of consciously at the time, is that I didn't, I think I didn't let that judgment, get to me, which is a tough thing to do, which is a little difficult to do. It's easy to wear you down with that judgment, right? And I didn't let that judgment get to me. And I was like, hang on, maybe you don't trust me, but let me try, right? Give me a chance, and let me win you over. And even now, when I look back, I have some of the best relationships, with the people who worked with me early in my career. So I think for me personally, that was, one way that, I've overcome it. The toughest time as a woman is, the time that you have a child, right? When you have a young child and your needs in your personal life are very significant. And I find that at that time, there is a lot of doubt on your availability and your capacity. And looking back, I feel that, some of the toughest jobs that I've had happened to be at that time. And so, again, reflecting upon it, I feel that when you actually give a woman that chance, right, more often than not, she will deliver, and she will deliver more than what you asked for. It's about, not having that bias and just giving that chance, and, don't have that preconceived notions. But I think what's important to me is that today, see, I'm in a place where I lead a lot of diverse teams, right? And I have all kinds of diversity with my team. And so for me, what is important to me is that how do I create a culture of inclusivity, sure that when people come to work, right, what we see in them is the value that they bring and the capability that they have, and and don't read much into who they are, right? And so, I love the environment that we have in Cummins, honestly, because it's so many interventions that we have that makes sure that we if even unconsciously, subconsciously, there is, we hold back, right? We are making sure we give them that gentle nudge that you don't need to hold back, right? Those interventions help because it helps, make sure that it's a level playing field. Women don't need a favoritism. Women just need a fair chance. And I love the fact that the interventions that we have give women that fair chance.
Correct, correct. Very true. And thank you for sharing so candidly to us about the challenges that you faced. I think, like very rightly you said, that women, especially in their phase of life when they've just delivered a baby, I think that's the toughest time, and they are and also tough both personally and professionally. Personally, even for themselves with their body, the things that they go through, and the way they've been treated, it's really tough. But I think it's how people support, even at work and personally. I think that's very, very important, uh, and that's a must. uh, Typical challenges that women face in the tech industry, and what is the best part of being a woman in the tech industry is what.
So, when you think about it, Khushbu, I think, the technology industry really offers a very level playing field, because the solution that you provide, the design that you do, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, right? It's just about how good that technology solution is. So I think overall, the industry in itself lends itself to a very level playing field. Now, when you look at it, right, the numbers also suggest the same thing. Today, the technology field has about 30% when you come look at some of the other sectors and other functions that exist. Overall, since 2017, right, hiring of women has grown at a 6% CAGR annually, and that's amazing. That's good steps in the right direction. 2020 alone saw about 44% of the total offers that are being hired, right? We're doing something right, at all levels, be it at an entry level. Like, for example, Cummins, we have this Cummins College of Engineering, which supports women from all backgrounds and helps them, get an engineering degree and qualifies them. And in a lot of cases, we're able to provide them employment and careers. And, we have some amazing women leaders coming out of that entire program, right? So it's about that opportunity. Now, when you look at, the overall career of a woman as well, right? We enter the workforce, and around the time that we enter the workforce, I'd say we'd be at about 45%, 55, 45% women and 55% men. As we go through life, right? Somewhere around the time that we have a child and we have a young family, that shift happens. Now, I'm not saying that the shift is good or bad. I'm very thrilled about the fact that women feel comfortable enough to make the calls they need to make to manage, their mental health, their physical health, and they're making those choices, which is a step in the right direction. But I think the one thing that industry overall, that we can be cognizant of and conscious of is that this isn't the need of only a woman, right? Today's societal construct largely says that it's largely a woman's job to take care of a young family, or a majority of that burden lies on a woman. But the truth is, if we support the men in our workforce as well to be an equal partner and to play that role very well, right? The paternity policy that we have, for example, men have a month off, to support the needs of a young family, healing new, right? And things like that are steps in the right direction, because it is not the need of a woman, it is the need of a young family. And if it is a need of the young family, then our policies need to enforce that, right? Give that support to a young, really, single out women as such. So when you think about it, right, if as an industry we take the steps to reverse or encourage that bias that we've traditionally had, right, to bring it back to the center, overall we will create a much more equitable environment, right, within company, outside, and it'll be a much more diverse, inclusive, equitable, and much richer environment to work out of, right?
Right. Very true. I think very correctly highlighted the challenges that we typically face. Um, before we end, my one last question is: what advice would you want to give to women considering their career in the tech industry, and what do you wish you had known?
That's an interesting one, and it just takes me back into the earlier days, right? There are two things that I would talk about. The one advice that I would give my younger self, and women who are entering technology careers, is believe in the power of sisterhoods. When we enter a workforce, we're often told that this is a male bastion and you have to go make your place in a man's world, and things like that. But that undermines something that is so beautifully feminine, right? The power of sisterhoods. We all have those WhatsApp groups, and those women, those 3-4 women that we go back to when life throws you lemons. You go back to that group and say, hey, this is what's bothering me, and you get the support, you get that advice, you get what you need, the energy to recharge you to come back and fight that battle that you need.
Yeah.
It will be amazing to replicate that in our workplaces. We will be a lot more resilient. As I grew in my career, right, I formed such amazing friendship with women, and these role models, friends, right? And being able to draw on their experiences, being able to be there for each other, right? And that's something that women do so beautifully. And so I'd say that, for my younger self, as well as for women entering the workforce, that go back to that. It's something that comes naturally to us, and it can really, really support us in the way we think about our careers, in the way we grow our careers. And, we can do we ourselves can do a lot better when we have that kind of an ecosystem around us, right? That's one. The second is, and the advice or the thought process I would leave companies and people, in positions of influence to think about is role models, right? Women need role models. Women need to see successful women. And, the more we see successful women, those shreds of doubt that have potentially existed, right? Where can we do it? They will, they go away, right? So I'd urge you to, put up a lot of role models and show them that, yes, it's a possibility. You can be in these positions, right? And, you have absolutely what it takes to be in these positions. Today I'm personally so inspired and so charged up by the fact that in India, right, our Cummins India leadership team, I'm a part of a leadership team of a company in India, which is 50% women. It's something that I derive a lot of personal energy and happiness from, because you walk the talk, right? It's not it's not a metric, and if companies can show their people that, listen, we're here, right? More women role models, more women who are talking, who are vocal, and who can, they don't have retain your feminine thought process, because that's what brings that diversity into the equation.
Right.
So I think, both these things for women entering the career early, I'd say believe in the power of sisterhood. It's amazing, right? It gives you the strength to go on in tougher times, and for companies that show women that there are those strong women role models, and that you can be one of them one day, and that goes a long way.
Wonderful insights, Annapurna. And I think some of the points that you highlighted are so true, and the suggestions that we can really look forward to are really really great insights. I'm sure viewers are going to get great insights and inspiration through this interview. Thank you so much for taking our time and joining us on our CIO News platform. You're truly a wonder woman, Annapurna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Khushbu. Thank you for having me. Thanks for the opportunity.